Step 3. Choose your recording software. There are a ton of recording software on the web and other software market places. Choose a recording software depending on your operating system. If you are on OS X, you can use the GarageBand, which comes in the out-of-the-box version of OS X as part of the iLife suite. If you are on Windows, you can use the voice recorder. Further, there are many other free recording software, such as Audacity, that offer great audio recording. If you are also feeling up to it, you may decide to go with a paid recording software such as Sony Acid or Music Studio. Alternatively, you can use industrial audio softwares such as iPodcast Producer that are very podcast-friendly and helpful in the recording of the podcast all through to uploading the finished podcast. Most of the commercial audio recording software are not free. Choose a software depending on your knowledge and its use, budget, and the software's ease of use. The interface is also something you should consider. I have found that some software are relatively easy to use and very powerful if you can circumnavigate their complicated interfaces. 5 things you must consider and have before you hit record. Before we move on to the second part of our podcasting journey, I think and feel it is only right to point out some things you may be tempted to overlook while preparing for your first podcast. I will keep it short and brief. 1. The title of your podcast. Your podcast show cannot thrive without a title. If you have a blog or brand name, that would be the most logical choice for your title. However, you also have the opportunity to add some flair to the title, rather than simply giving it your blog or brand name. Further, you should note that your title is searchable by search engine, which means your title should also be search engine friendly. Yes, iTunes, if that is where you intend to upload your podcast, is also a search engine. 2. Your talent/host name. Your talent name should often be your name. Nevertheless, this does not mean that you should shy away from adding something more after the name to help you in ranking higher in podcast market places such as iTunes. 3. Subtitle for your podcast. Most podcast directories will ask for a subtitle for your show. While it may not make much sense to have a subtitle, especially because most of the platforms do not show the subtitle, it does not hurt to have one either. Ensure that it has some keywords in it and an apartment description of your show. 4. A summary and description for your podcast. A description for your show should come the moment you decide which topic you aim to discuss on your show. If you aim to upload to iTunes, you have 4,000 characters for the description. The description should be in copy form, i.e. it should be descriptive, engaging, and captivating. Furthermore, you should also throw in some keywords in there for good measure. 5. Artwork for your podcast. Your podcast is an audio file. Therefore, it will need an album art. An album artwork is a square image that is a representation of your show. Think of it in terms of a book cover. Artwork is important because it is what people will see in podcast directories before they even make the choice to subscribe to your channel. Your artwork is also the image someone listening to your podcast on his or her MP3 player will see. Most album arts are 1400 by 1400 pixels and in .jpg or .png format. With the above ready and out of the way, we are ready to jump into the exciting part of our podcast, which is recording. In the next chapter, we shall look at exactly that, creating and recording your podcast. Are you excited? I am. This is simply the most exciting part of podcasting. With all the rigorous preparations we have undertaken, it is time to put everything into action. To begin, you need to prepare your content further. This entails putting together some form of script to direct what you will say at the start of the podcast and how you transition from topic to topic. Make content that is easy to read and follow down the list. Here is a sample content preparation list you can follow. #intro the show. Use this to introduce yourself and the topic you will be discussing. Keep it under a minute. #an intro jingle or music consistently. Use one jingle or song so that listeners can associate that music with your show. Also, keep it below a minute. #discuss topic 1 for 3 minutes. #discuss topic 2 for 3 minutes. #a 30-second interlude with music. #discuss topic 3 for 3 minutes. #discuss topic 4 for 3 minutes. #a 2 minutes closing remark where you thank the guest, audience, and give insight into the next show. #closing music, preferably the same as the intro music for 2 minutes. Whatever format you opt for, make sure that it is easy to follow from beginning to end. Also, make sure that the topics in the above format are interesting. You should also note that this does not mean you should have a new topic every few minutes. You can have the same topic, only from a different perspective. With that in mind, you are ready to record the audio for your podcast. At this point, your podcasting is at a critical juncture, and if you fail to do this properly, you will probably end up repeating the process several times. The truth is that you will repeat the process several times before you get it right. The trick to recording good podcasts is to keep your podcast friendly, conversational, and talking in a consistent pace. This is where you let passion for the topic and discussion shine through. Follow the script you created, but do not be afraid to improvise if the situation calls for it. As indicated, it may take a couple practice runs before you can commence recording the actual podcast you will upload. Again, let your passion drive you and do not quit. I have also found it necessary to take the software and the equipment for test runs. By recording samples, listening to them, and adjusting my equipment and software. If your podcast does involve other people, a podcast party, by far, the easiest way to record this is by employing Skype call recorder. You can use Skype to call the guests, then record the call via special Skype recording software. You can then use an editing software to edit and clean the audio. If you are on OS X, you can record Skype calls with call recorder for Skype and edit it in GarageBand. In addition, if you are on Windows, you can record Skype call using Pamela and edit them with Audacity.